In this episode of Financial Freedom for Beginners, we're going to be talking about how to make more money after college. Cue the intro. So this is one of those topics that, is kind of near and dear to my heart, because I know when I was in college, the first thing that I was thinking about was, how do I get a good job? How do I make, the certain amount of money that I want to make when I get out of college, so that I can live, a fancy lifestyle. I can do all of these things that I want to do. How do I get to that point to making more money after I get out of college, after I get out of school? And I think a lot of people think about that when they're going into college and kind of, even thinking about going to college. They're thinking about how much money they're going to be able to make when they get out. You want to be able to pay for the school loans. You want to be able to pay for the lifestyle that you want to live. You want to be able to make good on the investment of actually going to college. So, how do we get to the point where we're actually achieving that and making more money when we get out of college? The funny thing, I think, is it really starts before you get out. And we're going to talk about kind of both scenarios, kind of the things you can do before you get out and the things you can do after you get out to make more money. But I want to start with, kind of before you get out of school, some of the things that you can do or anyone can do to make their situation a little bit better financially when they get out of college. And one of the main things is really having a clear picture of whatever industry that you're going in, and how much, competition is in those industries, how much your earning potential is in the industry, and kind of where you stand as someone that is going to be entering whatever industry. Where do you stand in terms of your credibility or your ability to be a front runner in that particular industry? It's very important to understand those things whenever you're talking about money, because those are huge factors, and they're really life-changing factors when you are talking about making more money when you get out of school or getting out of college. What things am I doing while I'm in school or before I'm going to school? What things am I doing to prepare myself for being in that particular industry and kind of excelling at that industry? Am I even prepared for that? Once you start asking those questions, what you'll find sometimes is you'll get into industries that you realize, hey, this industry doesn't have the earning potential that I thought it did. And it's moving into a space where that industry that you're getting into may even be a dying industry. And I'm speaking from experience. So sometimes you have to pivot on your initial thought about what you were going into in school. And a lot of people do this. A lot of people go into college and, they have their mindset on, I'm going to be XYZ, and I'm going to, go into it doing these particular things. I'm going to go down that path and I'm going to excel at that path. And when I get out, I'm going to be making this amount of money. And a lot of people go in with that. And sometimes what happens, especially in, the past, decade or so, with so many disruptive businesses, coming to fruition, what happens is people go into industries or have gone into industries that really have died. You go into an industry where you're, at once in its heyday, that industry may have been a booming industry, but you go into that industry and the moment you get to the point where you're graduating, that industry dies, or it's not as booming and prosperous as it once was. So how do we combat that? I think one of the things you have to really understand is you have to look at the total projection of an industry whenever you're thinking about going into it. And also, you have to be flexible is the main thing that you have to understand. You have to have more of an aptitude than just a specialized understanding of one thing. If you seek out an aptitude for just learning anything, if you seek out an aptitude, if that is your main focus, then you'll be able to maneuver and move quickly into whatever industries are lucrative at the time. Definitely looking at your skill sets and definitely, centered around the things that you do ultimately want to do. I'm not saying, totally scrap the things that you want to do, not saying that at all, because that's still a recipe for disaster as well. If you're scrapping your passions to just focus on things that are going to make money, no, don't do that, because at the end of the day, you're not going to be fulfilled in those things and you're not going to pursue them as much, and you still may end up not doing as well because your passion isn't there for that thing. No, what I'm saying is use your skill sets and your passions and move those things into industries that are lucrative and are prosperous. There are always so many different ways to use your skill sets and use the things that you're passionate about. And if you are, like I said, if you have that aptitude for learning and you have the aptitude for doing whatever is necessary to move in whatever industry, what happens a lot of times is you can bring what you are passionate about to any job, or bring what you're passionate about to any career. And I know the time we're living in right now, there's a lot of, debate about whether, even pursuing careers is, still a viable thing. So there's a lot of people that may be of the mindset that, no, I just want to, be an entrepreneur, or I just want to, kind of focus on, building my brand and all those things. And I think those feelings are valid, and those are very important and lucrative ways to kind of look at the outlook. But I think one of the great things about, being in school and being in college and being around people who are also thinking of things that way is that you kind of develop a sixth sense for what is going to be the next great thing. And, I think that happens at any phase in higher education. If you are looking for it and if you are paying attention, you'll see it. If you're in higher education, if you're in college, that's one of the most powerful things that you can kind of absorb while you're in school. Even if you're not in college and you are just seeking knowledge and seeking information and really paying attention to what technologies are being built and paying attention to how the world is changing and evolving is such a powerful thing that we overlook oftentimes because we get siloed in what we're doing, especially if you are already a part of the working world and you're already immersed in family life and all the things that come with that. It's easy to kind of get siloed in those things and not understand how the world is evolving around you. And that's one of the strengths that you have of being in college. So if you are in college, I would give you that bit of advice. Really take that opportunity, really take this opportunity to pay attention to how the world is evolving, because this moment is the moment where you get to really chart your course and excel because you are on the cusp of what's going to happen in the future if you're paying attention. And it's one of those things that's very easy to miss if you're not focused on the right things. So definitely keep your eyes open and understand the moment that you're in from a technological standpoint, and don't squander that time. Really use the time you are in college to make those connections, not just with people, but make those connections with what industries are going to be the next burgeoning industries that come to fruition in the years to come. Not only from a job or career standpoint, but from an investment standpoint, just from a financial standpoint, period. It gives you the edge because you understand how those things work. So those are the things to do while you're in school. Now, when you get out of school, you have to understand that, hey, you have just been in a situation that you've had time to think and see and hear and experience all of the things that are to come. Not just the things that are happening right now, but all of the things that are to come, from a technological standpoint, from an interpersonal standpoint, because you're dealing with the next generation that is coming into the working world. You're among those. Those are your peers. So you understand what the next wave of thinking is in terms of those people that are going to be competing for those jobs, those same jobs, or just trying to enter into the work world. So it's very important that you understand what those things are and allow yourself to use what you've learned in those situations, not only as someone that has experienced that, but also understanding who is out there already, who's already in that work world, or who's already in those careers, or who's already in those money-making situations that aren't your peers. So at the end of the day, it is about respecting yourself and others and understanding all the nuances that go along with it. So if you want to make more money after college, make sure you pay attention to what you do before, during, and after, and effectively utilize those skills and talents you've nurtured throughout those years. I hope this has been extremely helpful for someone. And until we talk again, I wish you health, wealth, and freedom.